Hey, what's up? This is Laidback Luke, DJ and producer, Kung Fu athlete, and dedicated dad. Back with another vlog. I don't think there's something out there online, so I'm here to tell you how you could DJ back to back. Only 6 days out until my Kung Fu seminar in Miami. Super excited for that one. Tickets are going fast. Last year was crazy as well. But this year the Kung Fu class has been powered by body engineers. And when you get your ticket to the seminar, you can expect some Laidback Luke versus body engineers merchandise. But that's not only it. If you sign up right now, you can get special Mixmash merchandise tickets too. Some amazing exclusive stuff. If you're going to Miami Music Week, make sure to get your tickets now in the link below. Okay, so last week's vlog all about the 5 tips of how to get things done. Thank you so much for leaving a comment. Here's a shout out to the comments from last week. Damiano Giannanti on the number 2 spot on the comments from last week, and DWX leading in the comments on the number 1 position. Thank you everyone for leaving a comment below. I scrolled through them, some amazing comments. Now you know that I always read the comments. I really appreciate it. Back to backs, something I really appreciate as well, but how do you tackle this? It is time someone gives you some advice about this. Here we go. And so what makes a good back-to-back? I'm going to talk to you about DJing on the same setup, DJing on different setups. I'm going to talk to you about sign language too. Number 4, I'm going to talk to you about what you can actually play with a partner. And number 5, how to keep engaging with a crowd while you do a back-to-back. And for this one, we're going to dive behind my little setup here. I'm going to take off my hat and show you how it's done. DJing on the same setup is the easier one of the 2 setups I'll discuss in this vlog. So basically you have your left deck and right deck and your mixer in between. You both plug in your USB. So you both plug in your own music and your own USB, maybe one in here and maybe one in there. And then the good news on the similar setup is that you'll have the monitor speaker in the DJ booth, which you will hear all of your sound on coming from this setup. And so plugging in the headphones can be a little bit of a tricky thing sometimes, or in the back-to-backs that I used to do. It's like, okay, so who plugs in their headphones? If you use yours, you can pass along the headphones to the DJ you're playing back-to-back with. You can use just one of the headphones, but if you want, you can use your own headphones. But that just means that whenever you change and you're ready to mix, you'll just need to take out the headphones of the other and put in your own headphones first. And then on the fly or prior to your set, you can actually discuss how many tracks you'd want to mix. What my preference is doing the 2 out of the 2. So say you swap, you mix in 2 tracks, and then you swap again and let the other do 2 tracks. You can set yourself up for a challenge as well, and you say you just use the right deck and have your partner only use the left deck. Only tricky thing about that is that you're done with mixing pretty quickly, and that if you want to work onto something or work into a certain direction, your partner could easily take you off of that direction, throwing it into a completely different genre. Within using the same setup, you will probably end up both trying to work the effects and the EQs at the same time, which can be a little bit crowded and can be a little bit tricky, or maybe even like walk behind your partner and give this a little bump. But that makes it a really back-to-back type of session as well. It becomes a little bit more complicated if you have the dual type of setup, kind of like A-Trak and I had in Houston at Stereo Live, where he was on his own setup and I was on my own setup. So what you'd like to do for that is determine in which mixer you want to have the master come out to. So in A-Trak and mine setup, he was actually linked into my Denon mixer, into the channel 4, and this made it possible we had our joint signal coming over the booth. Say if he would be plugged out of the master and I would be plugged out of the master, we'd probably end up not hearing each other over the same monitor speaker. So you might want to keep that in mind, to have one of the mixer's signal going into the other mixer so that you both can have the signal coming out of the same DJ booth. Within the double setup, you don't need to worry about taking your headphone off and on and passing it along, because you can just stay plugged into your own mixer and hear your own signal, maybe have like a peek here and there to hear what's going on from his mixer. But doing the back-to-back with A-Trak and me having the control over his actual signal was a real luxury. And so within the dual setup, it's really nice to play 2 tracks. You could do one by one as well, but it kind of defies why you have 2 setups, because you have the right player and the left player, and you can actually have the freedom to mix whenever you want and whatever you want. You have the controls over your own mixer, but not over his mixer, which can be a little bit tricky. And so being on your own setup brings me out to the number 3 thing I want to talk to you about, and it's good old plain sign language. It really helps if you are experienced with DJs, when you know when the drop can come, when you know when the momentum is, when you have the 3, 2, 1 and then goes into a break or into a drop. Because basically in the booth at a show, or if you're in the session, you're really just trying to signal out to your partner when it is that they need to put the fader down or even take the bass out. So there's all these kind of unofficial type of sign languages where it's like, take the bass out, or the momentum is here, and then you drop your track into your drop. And it is as simple and basic as that, where you really need to have the feel for the music and an abundance of tricky sign language. And who knows, maybe this means we gotta hurry it up, or sometimes I'll be like, you know, my track is playing, but I want the partner to mix, so I'll be like, yeah, go mix, go and do this. Sometimes you even need to do this, and there's just all sorts of organic sign language originating on the moment when you're in the heat. The technicalities in a back-to-back set. Well, the actual mixing things you can do in a back-to-back set. Obviously, you can, depending on what you decided on the moment, you can just wait until the one track is finished to mix yours in. Or maybe when you spoke about the 2-4-2, you mix your one track, you mix your second track, and then your partner mixes his 2 tracks. Or you can take it to another creative level, is where your partner is playing a track and you can layer one of your acapellas over it. Or maybe you have some tools with you, effects tools, sweep tools. You can add that into their mix. If they are on your channel, you can add your effects to their master channel. And I've done that where you get really creative. Say the partner is playing an acapella over your beat and you take the beat out, put the beat back in, take the beat out, and so this really becomes like a mesh of the styles. And this is what A-Trak tweeted about our set as well, coming off of it, where it really gets entangled like that, where you're playing all through each other and across each other, and then it becomes super interesting. What you really need to be aware of as well is the style of your partner. So what is he currently playing, and what can you add up to that? Say, you know, A-Trak was playing a disco type of track. So what do I have in my collection that's filter disco, or where I could take it from the filter disco into bass house? Speaking of bass house, doing a back-to-back with Moxie, for instance, I wouldn't, you know, be able to play much Dutch house playing a set with them. So they are primarily bass house. So if I would play back-to-back with Moxie or with Chocolate Puma, I would definitely get more of my bass house collection out. And so that's where you add up to each other and really blend the styles and the flow of the set together. And the number 5 thing I want to talk to you about within the back-to-back sets is keep engaging with the crowd. There will be moments when your partner is playing that, you know, it's not your track, so you could easily just, you know, be standing around doing nothing, maybe updating your social media or grab a drink because it's their track playing. But none of that. Actually, when their track is playing and you are feeling it, you should be in the music as well. You should be right with them. If you see your partner jumping all of a sudden because it's a big drop and you weren't really paying attention, but you see them jumping, make sure you jump with them. Keep engaging with the crowd when their music is playing, not only your music is playing. So, you know, from the looks of the crowd, it will still look like it's fun, because it can be very tricky when your partner is playing and that you're like, you know, waiting for the next track or waiting for your turn and standing in the crowd and dancing in the crowd. This doesn't really look nice, right? So this is one little tip I would like for you to consider. Just a little bit of showmanship on top of the technical back-to-back or whatnot. Like, keep being in the music, keep dancing, keep listening to what your partner is doing. Maybe if you don't have anything to do, go and look for an a cappella or an effects you can layer over it, or some loop you can layer under it. And this way you can keep on engaging with the crowd, engaging with your partner, and make this an unbelievable back-to-back. If you enjoyed that, make sure to give me a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to my channel as well. But don't leave just yet. Next week is going to be a super exciting vlog for you. I'll tell you more about that after this. What is your dream back-to-back? With just 1 week to go until hashtag Mixmash Miami 2019. Here's some of the back-to-backs from previous years, but I want you to predict this year's back-to-backs. Make sure to leave it in the comments with the hashtag Mixmash Miami 2019 and we'll look you up. If you're still looking for tickets for the event, you're not too late. Make sure to check the link below. Okay, so next week it's time for demos again. I'm excited to dive into the demo section of laidbackluke.com again, and I am actually looking for people to sign. So make sure you post your demo up this week and make sure it's unbelievable. Who knows, I get to sign you and release you on one of my labels. Make sure to tune back in next week. Until then, L's up, rave safely, and salute.